Welcome back to another bizarre video in the Final Fight series. Today we have Dooley up against Vanessa. We're on 9 wins as usual, and we've got no more lives left, so this is our last chance to get to 10 wins before the run is over. So it's a must-win fight. The build's quite interesting. We've got the weather glass here, which is normally a Vanessa item, but we picked it up and decided to build around it. Already had some of the rays at the time, and it synergizes pretty well with the rays, because they're obviously sources of poison, freeze, and burn. Also have a couple of sources of slow in the LEDs and the duct tape. And so we've got the weather glass up to 5 multicast. We've also got a radiant enchantment on the weather glass, so it can't be destroyed or frozen, which or slowed. So that's going to be quite useful in the fight. The core we started out with was a weaponized core and didn't end up really using it that much. It does a little bit of damage. We've got a burn enchantment on it. It's mostly just there to trigger the other rays going off, trigger the LEDs, stuff like that. So it's good enough that I don't want to take it out for something else, but it's definitely, I think we would have been more useful to have one of the other cores for this one. The duct tape is providing some shielding. Obviously, being next to the weather glass is going to mean it's going to shield quite fast, and it's been buffed quite a lot during the run, so that should be pretty good. Got some hasting coming from the cog to keep the weather glass permanently hasted. And that's basically it. The idea is we're going to burn the opponent down. If they've got too much shields, the poison can get in behind and ramp up enough to kill them. But generally it's the burn that's going to do most of the work. And yeah, so that's basically it. In terms of skills, we've got, we're going to burn for 5 every time we use a tool. So obviously that's another 5 every time on the weather glass, as well as the duct tape and the cog. We've also got, we're going to gain regeneration equal to half the burn we put on our enemy. So we're going to have crazy amounts of regeneration, which should keep us alive in the fight and take care of any sort of healing that we need to do. We're getting a little bit, we're going to be buffing our shielding over time as the fight goes on. So every time the core activates, the duct tape's going to get more shielding. We're also, every time we haste, we're getting crit chance, +2 crit chance to all our items, and every time we use a tool, we're going to generate haste on another tool. I think it can haste itself, so the haste, since we've got the cog upgraded, isn't that important, but it is going to quickly buff the crit chance of everything in this with this combination with the weather glass multicasting to 5. And then the last skills we've got freezing when we burn, we've got freezing when we slow, and we've got freezing when we haste. So at the start of the fight, we should lock down a couple of their items pretty quickly. We've also, of course, got the beta ray that's going to do a tiny bit of freezing. Would have been nice to upgrade this a little bit, but we never sort of saw it again, so we'll have to make do as is. Anyway, with all that being said, let's take on Vanessa now and see if we can get this build to 10 wins.
My fight isn't with you, but if you insist.
It is a crow's nest build with a little bit of burn, so if we can survive long enough to get that to freeze, oh my god. Alright. How did that happen so fast? Ah, man. Alright, so check back in the recording for that one, and the Cutlass did have the Radiant Enchantment, so all of the slow effects and the freeze effects that should have happened earlier, like at the start of the fight, couldn't touch the Cutlass, and there was nothing we could do to stop the 800 damage per hit that was coming in every fraction of a second. So that's, I think, twice in 3 videos where a crow's nest build with a item with a radiant enchantment has just completely destroyed the really carefully constructed build I've come up with. And I don't know, are they just throwing out radiant enchantments like candy at the moment for some reason? I think it's probably just a coincidence. I mean, I've got a radiant enchantment on one of my items, so I don't know. But yeah, another disappointing loss to a crow's nest build. I did have high hopes for this one, and I was really excited when I got the weather glass item. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to work really well with all the rays. But yeah, it obviously did fall down to some sort of high burst at the start kind of builds. Crow's Nest is just consistently high damage throughout. Like, it doesn't run out of steam at all. Yes, had those freezes gone off, if we had about 3 seconds of that item being frozen from any of our freezers hitting it, then I was pretty confident we'd win. But yeah, it was not to be. So that said, we will try again next time. See if we can come up with an interesting build that can get us to 10 wins. But for now, I'll end the video there. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.